All right, let me just check to make sure that the audio is working okay. So testing 1, 2, 3, just let me know in the comments area. If you're watching the recording, we're about 2 minutes out, so you may want to fast forward to the beginning. I'll put a timeline down at the bottom. So let's see if the audio is working. We'll do all that checks first. No sound. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Is there sound now? Testing 1, 2, 3. Quick audio check here before we get going. Okay, great. Sounds good now. Okay. All right, we'll get started in just a little bit. Hang tight and we'll be right with you. All right, how's the audio working? Is it okay? Just want to make sure that's working. One more quick check on that. Hope everybody's doing good out there. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday. Just let me know in the comments area before we get going here that you can indeed hear me. Sometimes we have trouble with the audio, you know, so let's see how that works. Hopefully that's doing okay. Okay, Mark says it's great. So if it's great, it's great. Thank you, Mark. All right. All right, a few administrational items I'm going to go through first. Of course, give me 1 second. And the first one is our risk disclaimer. You know, we have to let you know that there are risks involved in the financial markets, especially trading and even investing in them. No, past performance, of course, does not guarantee future performance. And of course, any of the ideas or stock picks we look at, please check with your financial advisor or whoever manages your money to be sure they're suitable for you. Many factors go into that determination. They know you, of course, I don't personally, so you need to check with them to get the go ahead. Also, too, make sure you're trading with money you can afford to risk in the markets. This is risk called risk capital. Make sure you do that. And then finally, you know, we deal in a realm of probabilities. So no guarantees of any outcome. You have to have good risk control in place. You want to cut your losing trades quickly and keep your winning trades as long as you can for profitability. And of course, we can help you learn how to do that. One of the areas we excel in, of course, is not only trading systems, but also risk control. You cannot be successful in this business without risk control. So you have to be good at that. It's a zero-sum game when we trade, short-term trade the markets. So you have to be able to keep those losses as small as possible because you're not always going to win. All right, and here's a list of my books that I have available. Easiest place to get them is Amazon. I'll put a link up in the recording. So if you're watching the recording, the link will be below. I also create a timeline on the recording so you can find easily stocks that we talk about today. And then, of course, also a link, timeline link to the winners for today as well. So we usually get that up by the end of the day when we do Stock Analysis Friday. So sometime this afternoon. All right, Money Management for Traders, second book from the right will help you with risk control. So if you need help with that, great book, very inexpensive for you. And basically, I took the nuts and bolts out of the system in terms of what you need to know to manage your risk, and it's in that book. The Art of Trading, second edition, is coming out later this year. My publisher, Wiley, contacted me last year for a new book. Our original book came out in 2008. So it was time for an update. A lot of great new information. That is going to be a really, really good book. Also, we cover the new software that we use now as well. So that's available for pre-order at Amazon. And again, the link will be in the recording, or you can just go to our website. When we look at charts, we're going to be using software that I developed over the last 30 years of trading the financial markets. We have software that goes onto your charts that gives you entries and exits, dealing off price patterns. We call that the Applied Reality Trading or ART system. Then we have indicators at the bottom we use for basically a confirmation of signals. So that keeps you out of sideways markets for the most part. And that's the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI. And then we have scanners in order to find stocks each and every day and week that we scan the markets. And then finally, our risk control software is that bottom row. And we have record keeping software and the risk to reward calculator. All right. And also too, like us, subscribe, and share. It makes a difference apparently in YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like as well, and LinkedIn as well. And finally, I just want to thank everybody for being here because we do appreciate you taking the time. Friday's a busy time. Markets are open. So thank you for attending and taking the time. And it's a lot of fun here because we usually find some good stock opportunities you can actually take. All right, so let me come out of here and go into the charts. And the first chart I want to go over, and you guys go ahead and type in your symbols you want me to look at, and basically type them in caps. That always helps me a great deal. Before I jump into the actual charts, just let me go over my setup a little bit in case you're new here. So what we do here is we use, I use NinjaTrader, and then what I do is create 3 charts, and this is called multiple time frame analysis. And every chart is the same symbol. So I happen to have the Bitcoin ETF called GBTC currently loaded in the system. And then I have live data streaming in. So basically what you're looking at is a 60-minute time frame, which I use for a short-term look at whatever I'm looking at. I have a daily time frame, which kind of gives me the intermediate idea or look. And then I have a weekly where I focus on the longer term aspect. So the reason I do this is that it lets me see a comprehensive look at the stock. It could be a future, it could be anything that I'm looking at to see if short term, intermediate term, and long term are in alignment. And if not, what is the best time frame to trade? So you're going to see me reference that quite a bit during the session today. On the far right hand side is the data box. So when I put my cursor over a particular price bar, all right, it will show up in the data window. And now just also too, in case you're really, really new, when I say a weekly chart, what that means is that each price bar represents a full week instead of a daily. So like when you go to a website or open up a newspaper or something, if anybody still does that, normally the charts are a daily chart where every price bar represents a day. And that's reflected on this chart here. So this is a daily chart and each price bar represents the day's activity. And then this is a 60-minute chart. So every price bar represents an hour. Okay, so that's kind of what we mean when we say a 60 daily and a weekly chart. And of course, that's long-term, intermediate, and short-term. And then finally at the top, this rainbow colored system running up here, our window. These are our scanners. Okay, so our scanners are running at the top all the time on various time frames, even intraday time frames. And if we have a little time today, maybe we'll take a look at some of the day trading time frames on the E-mini and NASDAQ and so forth, gold. All right, so GBTC. So let me just see comments here, make sure everything is going. Jim says Powell is going to speak in a few minutes. All right, we'll see what kind of volatility that creates, right? I will look at the spider a little bit today for sure. All right, GBTC. So when we talk about the GBTC, it's basically an ETF for Bitcoin. Now, I think personally, based on the analysis here, you know, Bitcoin went way up and went way down, formed a bottom here. And I've been expecting a pullback, all right, and we're getting it now. And we're kind of still in it because some of the indicators we use, this is called the OWL, which is measuring the current momentum on the time frame it is on. And so when it's negative, all right, then basically you're having a negative situation, and usually the markets are pulling back. And that's what we're seeing now. On the 60-minute chart here, you've got the ART system identifying fractal trending patterns to the downside. You can see them over here, and that started basically a little while ago. Okay, so that's where we are now on that. So it's kind of in a pullback that's not quite over, I don't think yet, but it's getting fairly close. The first pullback after a big pull up, if you look on the weekly chart here, can retrace 100% for a double bottom. So you always want to put that stop as low as you can when you initiate a trade off the bottom. But are we still bullish on GBTC overall? You betcha. All right. But if you're using our software on multiple time frames, you can actually time your entry a lot better than if you weren't using any software at all. So software tools play an important part. It's very hard to be successful without the right tools. And so the software tools on the lower time frame are saying the market's pulling back, and the longer time frame says overall this pullback should be just a pullback or some profit taking in an ongoing bull market. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. All right, so let's go in and jump in here. So the spider, all right, is the S&P 500. And a lot of people look at this. This is the ETF for the spider, of course. All right. And so, you know, what's interesting is if we look at the long-term chart, let's just open that up for a minute. Now, if you're into Elliott wave, for example, this is a clear, big move up in the Elliott wave. So that's what they call a wave 3. Probably this is what we think is a complex correction at this particular point. And we're probably getting ready to head back down at some point. I would say probably by the end of the summer. Okay, could happen tomorrow, could happen next month. We don't have quite that crystal ball. We'll look at the lower time frames, but we're kind of seeing that. Now, what's interesting is some people think that this was the bottom and it's over. Okay, we're going to go up here. Is that a possibility? Always it's possible. The market has a great way of humbling us all at times. So I never ever trade without the possibility of what could happen if I'm wrong. And I suggest that's the way you approach the markets too, because that makes you use risk control, makes you put a stop in place, and therefore you limit your losses in case your analysis is incorrect. However, with that said, I go with the probabilities, and the probabilities here are indicating on the weekly chart that we have had a long-term bull market end, all right, in basically 2022, which was last year in January. And then since then, we have not broken out and gone above, have we? Okay. And it's kind of been pretty volatile, which has given a lot of people a lot of agitation, especially if they're trading shorter time frames, because the market goes up for a week and comes back down a week, up a week, and that creates a lot of havoc in any type of trading approach. So you have to be careful and choose the right time frame during these periods where you have a lot of volatility. And sometimes that means either a long-term time frame or maybe even a shorter term time frame, maybe the 60-minute chart or even a little bit lower. Okay, so that is kind of where we're at now. Jim, because you asked this question, we think the target for the spider will eventually be a normal fib retracement. Now notice I just put the fib retracement back here to 2009. Okay, you could even go a little further back if you wanted to, probably into the 80s. But in this case here, we're looking at probably 322 to 226 as the high probability target range for a wave 4, based on a Fibonacci retracement from 2009, okay, all the way up to the top of 22, okay? And so that's not a number I'm just making up. That is a fib number. And those fib numbers basically are fairly accurate, especially when you draw them like we did. And about 70% of the time, you get these retracements in that area. 15% of the time, they can end in the red area. And then 15% of the time, they can be a little deeper, okay, as long as they don't go above wave 1, which will probably be about this area here. Now, I'm going to throw something else at you here. All right, with that said, look at this indicator here. This is our PTF indicator. This has a 70% accuracy rate, and basically, or 75% accuracy rate. And basically, the COVID low created that to turn red or bearish. And what that means is you take the lowest low in the red area when it's generated, and this happens to be the COVID low, and there's a 75% probability the market is going to even go lower than that point. So that puts it at the bottom area of this retracement on the spider. All right, so this could be a pretty nasty sell-off when it comes. So beware, okay? So that's kind of the long-term aspect. Now, with that said, we're looking at the NASDAQ. We're long a lot of trades right now, and you still have a green PTF on here. So it's not done going up. So in a complex correction, what happens is you may have a big leg down, which we had already. All right, so this could have been an A. This is a B, I think. C, normally C takes it down to the target zone, not this time. All right, and I think we're probably in a broad-based D. And then eventually an E wave will come. So E wave will replace C wave and take it down to the target. That's what I think is unfolding. That has the highest probability scenario at this time. I don't think the bullish D wave is over. We've been in it for 6 months, and it's been breaking out this week for the most part, but it's getting close. Okay, it is getting close. You're starting to see a little bearish divergence, and we're seeing that on the NASDAQ as well and the Dow. So there you have it. So my forecast is actually very bearish, but I do think you have some more upside. Again, it could last a couple of weeks. It could last a month. It could last till the end of the summer. I don't think we're going to get down to that lower target range until the end of 2024 or mid to end of 2024. So it all depends on when E wave kicks in and drives the market down. That'll give us a better idea of when that bottom. So far, it hasn't happened. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. All right, let's take a look, Sergio, at your next at DRIV. DRIV. See what's cooking on that. Okay, so I don't know if you're long or short on this. I'm going to open up the weekly chart. Let's just move this over real quick here and open that up. All right, so we got history to about 2018. We've definitely had a bottom here and then a big impulsive wave up here. So let's just grab our fib retracements and just see. Boy, that's a tough one here. Just see. All right, so it kind of retraced, came down into that area. So this was an impulsive 3, looks like a 4, could be starting a 5. So that's kind of a bullish move that we expect to come up here. So in terms of an Elliott wave, that could be the scenario. All right, and this is a 5. Okay, so then the next thing we do is try to figure out where the actual 5 target could be, and we'll use a fib extension for that. And this will just give us, now when you do these, you need to be pretty accurate in how you draw them if you're going to depend on them. I'm pretty much just drawing them in fairly quickly. So these target zones could be off, you know, $1 or so or a little bit. But it looks like the target zone is 33 to about 41.78 or 42. Okay, so that's kind of where we're looking at. All right, but let's take a look at the lower time frames. All right, so All right, looks like we got to wait a little bit, okay? This is almost green, but it's red. And so basically, let's open that chart up here. So what that is saying here is that this little move up, and we have bullishness on the 60-minute chart that I saw, this little move up, all right, on the 60 is not over, but it's also saying it's not, maybe not quite ready to break out to the upside. So this has got to turn green before I'd be super excited about a long trade. Now, the other thing that's interesting here is let's grab a line here. I think you almost got a pennant forming. Now, a pennant in technical analysis is pretty common to use, and you should use it because it's pretty good. And so we got a pennant forming here. And the idea is until prices break out one way or the other, you're probably going to be range bound. All right, so that's kind of where it is. So I don't know if I'd go in this yet. I think I'd kind of hang tight on it, put it on a watch list. And I can't recommend it to anybody right now simply because we have the red PTF on the daily. The 60-minute would have been the nice trade to take on that move up. And that's sometimes what we do, but it's too far extended now. So I would say stay out of drive right now, okay? All right. Let's see, LYTS. Okay, so Al, let's see what are you long? Not sure if you're long or you're short or you're just thinking about it. Okay, but we got to kind of see what's going on with this because it's been fairly extended. It's showing a pullback now. Let's open up the weekly chart first. All right, so you had a nice impulsive move up here. Looks like we're in a correction here that may not be over. Now we need a red owl, all right, to confirm it. So could it go up and finish 3? According to this, it's possible. But it also could be a 4 developing, and maybe this is A, B, C, turns this red then, and then goes up. So you have 2 alternate possibilities. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so you have a wave 4 developing here on the short-term time frame. So let's take a look at this. All right, so you did hit the target there, and you got bullishness coming in. Okay, so let's see, we got an A, B, C. All right, okay, we could definitely have a bottom here. So on these here, here's the situation with this. You got a pyramid trading point fractal trend trading pattern entry. That's the art software, check. You got this red, that's not a check. So you got to wait for this to turn green. And this is green and this is green. So everything looks pretty good for a long trade, but you're not quite there on the owl. And the reason why we don't go before the owl is because it sometimes really saves our butt, so to speak. Because if this comes down and makes one more bottom before it goes, then you'll be glad you didn't go long. So you want to wait for that to go green to really prove itself that the momentum has indeed changed. So that's, I don't think I'd go into this now, but definitely keep an eye on it every day. All right. So that is that one. And let me go back up here. All right. You guys are typing in some good ones here. All right. DKNG. DKNG. And you can see a lot of these stocks still have a little bit more room to go to the upside. So I don't think this bullishness we're seeing in the market, even though we think it's a long-term bear trend, is over yet. I think we may have another month or so of bullishness before this thing, rolls over and takes a dive. All right, let's take a look at this. So we looked at this before, and we had said before that, this was at least going probably to this retracement Fibonacci zone, and it looks like it certainly is headed up there, right? Green pyramid, green, we got green, higher highs coming. So yeah, bullishness is good here. The only issue here, you're getting close to the target. So if you're in it already, great, you'll be pretty happy there. Otherwise, you got to put your stop at this pyramid, all right? And your 2 to 1 will have to be achieved if it reaches on the upper edge of this. So I like this one. I think I'm going to put it down as a recommendation with a stop under that pyramid, and that's DKNG. All right, risk to reward could be better because we have to have it go above the 50% mark for it to really be a 2-to-1, but it's close. Okay, so I think it's good enough. So let's put that down as one possibility for today. And everything looks as good on that as it can. And the 60-minute chart has a green PTF, so you got more highs coming pretty quickly. All right, INOD. So, you know, by me, people say, well, Ben, why do you do this? Okay, why do you hold Stock Analysis Friday? And the reason is it gives me a chance to share with everybody our tools. And, this is the way people find us. This is the way people say, holy cow, I've been looking for some tools. These are really good. So it's a good way for me to share and demonstrate how they work properly. And also at the same time, we all find stocks that we can trade going forward for the week. So it really serves a lot of great purposes. All right, so INOD. All right, so we've had a little move up here. All right, and this retracement here was way too low to be a wave 4. So that's kind of, it's a little bit on the messy side here. We made a new high above the PTF high, so that is turning yellow. I think you can see that now. We still could go up. Okay, so let's check the short-term time frames on that. This may be, look at that. Okay, so this is not a very clean stock and a very difficult one because it's very hard to get an Elliott wave out of this. The impulsive wave we've had here is the biggest news in 220 to current that we've seen in this stock for the previous 10 years. So that's kind of interesting. So there's something definitely going on with it. Now, here is this and here is this. All right, I'm not going to recommend it. All right, if you've gotten in early, fine, but we have bearish divergence, and we just made a brand new high with the bearish divergence. So I think it's too risky. All right, so I would not do this one. INOD, no. CDZI. CDZI. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. I'm going to open up first the weekly chart. Okay, so this one came way up, looks kind of like Bitcoin, way up, and then all of a sudden down, brand new low down here. So the million-dollar question is this a significant bottom? And are we going up from here? Well, let's take a look. All right, so green, we're checking all the boxes. Pyramid, check. And next thing to answer is where's the target? Well, the pyramid in terms here is saying we're going to get at least above here, but we're almost there right now. So as we go above there and the momentum's not high enough to keep it green, it'll turn yellow, which is neutral. And if we draw some fibs in on where this thing could go, we're looking at maybe 652 to 968. So that's probably your potential you should use for this. And if it keeps on going up, great, you'll hold it. But otherwise, that for risk control, that's where you should figure that should be. All right. And we got green here and green here. So it looks good for a long trade. My only situation is looks good here. I don't think I would trade this time frame. I'd put my stop under here and try to get it up to that target. So I'm going to put it down as a recommendation because it's hitting all the check boxes, so to speak. So it looks pretty good, and we got a target that will give you almost a 2-to-1 if it gets to the middle of the target. So I'll put that down. Okay, I think that one looks as good as possible. You will get some pullbacks, so don't be surprised on that, but no reason not to go into it. All right, as long as you have your stop put in. All right, Eleanor, how are you? Let's take a look at Oracle here for you. Boy, a lot of stocks coming in. Love it. All right. So Oracle has been doing really well. And let's see if you're in it. Let me just say you're long. Beautiful. Okay, so you're in it already. Now, I would not recommend anybody going into this in terms of a short-term trade because we've had a big run up. The pyramid's got the stop right here at a low of 93.34. So on the pyramids, what they're doing is they analyze not only pattern, but the momentum that went in to create that pattern. And so it looks for key levels of support formed by those basic patterns. And that's where the stops are placed. So in this case, we would have gone long here, trailed your stop up, and we would be right here on the new pyramids here. So I would have your stop there, all right, and stay with it as long as you can. We have a green PTF on the 60, and you have a green one on the daily. The reason why I wouldn't recommend this to anybody now is because you will get a pullback. So, your profit potential may be limited on this swing to the upside that we're in right now. And if we take a quick look here, let's just give you a target on where this thing is probably going to go. And we're almost there now. So I wouldn't recommend this for new people, but here's the way having the right tools will help you, Eleanor, is that, do you see the green PTF on the 60? And we have one forming here. When those turn yellow, go ahead and ratchet your stops out and probably take a half a position off, okay? That's how we use the tools. If you don't have those tools, you'd never know how to do that. All right, good. Let's take a look at the next one for you on the list, NYCB. Sounds like a yacht club. All right, NYCB. Let that load there. Okay. All right, right away, when you look at a stock and its behavior, you can notice it's kind of a pretty up and down stop. So you got to kind of have a system that really ratchets your stops up on this, because the volatility is kind of good. On this one here, all right, I would have taken none of these pyramids because of the red PTF. Okay, that's just me. All right, maybe it'll change, but it's not. And you can see here, it still may come back down. So this one I do not like. All right, pyramids, got it as a go, but when we check the boxes, the PTF is a box we cannot check, and I do not go against the PTF. Okay, so that's a no-go for me. All right, if you're in it now, I probably put your stop at this pyramid here on the daily chart for a low of 9.71. Okay, 9.71. And then you do have a green PTF here, so it's not done going up, but that may be the last high you get on it. So if this turns yellow, yank half a position off on that one. All right, NVIDIA. Let's take a look at that bad boy. This thing was screaming. Okay, so this is one, of course, we have recommended before, and lo and behold, it is reaching the target zone. So we've had a buy on this for quite some time, and it's been a really good trade. We're ratcheting our stops up now. We're at the target. And this is, with the markets where they are now, and us expecting not only the Dow, but the NASDAQ to collapse later this year, you don't want to leave your stops too far away once you reach the target zone. So there you have it. So you got to have that stop right under that pyramid on the daily chart, since you're in the target zone now. And that's going to give you a stop. Let me just open this daily out. So that would be this pyramid here. All right. And that would give you a stop at 280.45, one tick under. Okay. So NVIDIA, it could go up to higher. It could go 365, but also it may not. So you want to kind of protect those profits you have. All right. So that's NVIDIA. And the last one on your list there is PEP. Okay. And that is Pepsi. You can give that a second to load. All right. So Pepsi's done obviously really well. Okay. So again, too late to get into it from my standpoint on the daily chart. Now this is where you may want to use the help of the 60-minute chart, because notice I'm going to open the 60-minute chart. So there are times when I trade off the 60-minute chart. And what I'm looking at here, okay, is a big run up, and now we're having a retracement. So a couple things here. We're going to put here to here. All right. So I think that Pepsi's going to pull back to 186 to 179. So I'm not going to go long now. Do I want to go short? Maybe. Okay. Down to that target, maybe. Or maybe I just wait, put this on a watch list, and when it gets down here and I see the owl go green, I see everything here turning more bullish, and we get a green basically a green pyramid, then I'll go long again. Okay. So that's where I am. If I'm long now and it's a position trade, I would probably use that 60-minute chart as a possibility. Now, does that mean it's going to go higher again? Yes. And notice here we have a green here. So I imagine after we get down into this range, it's going to pop back up and go. All right. But if you want to take profits and then get back in, you could certainly do that. I would not go in if you're not in it yet. Do not go in that. Okay. Wait for the pullback to come back. All right. Al is back. Boy, Al, you've got a laundry list of stocks here. TPR. All right. So let's take a look and see. Now, we looked at Oracle, I think, already. So TPR, give me 1 second. Sometimes you have to adjust these based on the volatility on the chart you're looking at. So let me just bring these down so they look better. Okay, so let's see what's going on now. Very messy weekly chart, right? Let's open that up. All right, so this one goes back to about 2004, maybe a little 2003. Let's see. 2000, okay. So good enough history there, but a very messy chart. All right, again, you could almost draw a pennant by going from here to here. So we're almost at a point where it's going to break out. We do have green here. We do have green here. So it looks to me like the breakout is going to be to the upside. Now, you have some pyramids forming here, but so basically we don't have an entry yet because we just had a red one that got taken out. So we got to wait for another green one. So, okay, so there's that. We have green here. So you have green PTFs across the board. So you don't want to go short. That's for sure. The problem here is, where is your target? Now you have a PTF target above the highest high in the green area. So that's going to be 46.89. So about 4 points, 4.5 points there, roughly. All right, but your stop would have to go way down here. All right, so your risk to reward's not too good there. If it's a impulsive wave that gives this 1 fib extension, you're pretty much possible high of 54. All right, I say no on this one, okay? It's kind of volatile, and it's also messy, and the risk to reward's not quite there, okay? So that is where we are there. All right, let me just see here. Let's see what else we got here. I did look up Oracle. Eleanor, we looked up Oracle with Eleanor, so we're good on. All right, ADSK rather. All right, so let's see what Autodesk is doing today. All right, so okay, very interesting. All right, this actually is a pretty nice. See, whenever I could see a big move up like this, if you're an Elliott wave person, that's a 1, that's a 2. That's a 3, and here's 4, okay? So is 4 over? That's the question. Well, first thing we have to do is draw the fib retracements, all right? And let's just see how those are looking. All right, so it definitely hit the target for a 4, right? So we're good there. Now, let's go in and see how clean wave 4 was. So this is a 3 top here, okay? So we had probably some form of an A here maybe, or an A here, not here, B here, and C. So that's pretty clean, all right? Not unusual to get this kind of mess before it kicks in. So this is wave 5. This could be a 1, 2, and we're about to go into wave 3. So that's a very bullish scenario right there. I'd like to see a green owl here first, but let's go ahead and draw in a fib extension. And our target for this is going to be around 370 to 497, but you're going to have to hold that a long time. So what's very interesting, though, in this market is that, we're expecting a long-term bear market, right? But there are certain stocks. Amazon's one, Google's another, ADSK is showing to be another. And on this situation, they're poised to make highs, which counter the logic's not there if the market's going to sell off, right? But there's going to be certain stocks that do well even when the market sells off, and this certainly could be one of them. All right, now let's take a look here. Well, we got green PTFs on the 60, very messy. So you got to make sure your stops are set in order to allow for this mess. So here's a bottom. I would take the bottom of this channel. I put my stop right there. Okay. It's too volatile right now. You got to put that stop a little lower. So let's say we put that at a low of 170. Whoops. Let me open that up a little higher so I can see it. 179.60 is where your stop should be. Okay. And I do like this one. So this is going to go on the buy list. But this could be a long-term hold. Okay. Pyramid PTF is pretty much saying 75% probability we'll get to 240. So that's not too bad. You might want to take some profit off then. But there you have it. All right. So this one's okay. If you check the boxes, this is green on the owl. This is green. This is green. This is green. This is a little red. But as long as these two are both showing green with a pyramid entry here, I think you could probably take it. You also got a little bit of a pennant here, I think. Maybe not. Okay, no, guess not. All right, so there you have it. Now, if you want to be super conservative and wait for a breakout above here, you could do that. But I think it looks pretty good now, and you'll get rewarded for going in early if you're right. So ADSK is a winner for today. All right, you're not in any of those symbols, but there you have it. All right. Yep. So Jim's saying that the spider broke out of a classic pennant to the upside last Friday, and that's why I think we have more room to go before the next big move down. All right, Al, let's see what else we got here. Oh boy, Al, you got a whole bunch here. EVRG. As I said, the more stocks we get here, the more opportunities. Okay, so let's see. You're not in any of these. All right, so this is a messy stock. You can just see by the volatility, but also it's got a red PTF and a red PTF. So if anything, you only want to go short here. And then the next question is, where is the target? So let's open up the weekly and see if we can get a short target. And very interesting. Let's see if we have. All right, so it reached here. Okay, so you may have a 4 in here, or it may be in a complex correction like the rest of the market. Okay, so in this case, I wouldn't take it. All right, because I can't go long. All right, and kind of not want to go short because we don't have things rolling over that much on the weekly chart yet. So I think some of these others we found are better. All right, you know, if I have to scratch my head 2 or 3 times to find the analysis that I'm looking for in a stock, then it's not that clear. I like look for clarity, so where things are simple. All right, PM Philip Morris. Okay, so red here, green here. So again, same type of thing. Wouldn't do this one. eBay. And you know, half of being a good trader is sorting through different stocks and eliminating most of them, because most of them won't be good, and finding those diamonds in the rough, so to speak. That's what you get paid to do. All right, red, and green coming off. I kind of almost think a long trade here may be pretty good. PTFs are indicating we're still kind of pulling back, so we may have a bottom here, but it's not. You can't go long on red PTFs in the short-term time frame, so that's a no-go. WEC. Same thing. Okay. The only thing with WEC though is it hasn't corrected, I don't think, that much compared to the other ones. Okay. So let's see here what we've got. All right. Let me draw the fib retracements. So there's certain trades that can be okay to take to the short side, provided there's enough profit opportunity to the retracement zone. So if this is a 3 here, all right, here's your target. You kind of hit it here, but there was no clear. I don't think there's a clear ABC on that move down. Let's just see here. Yeah, I'm not liking that. Okay. So that means if that's A, this is a complex correction. And so we probably should come down to 74 to 53, and we're at 89. So if you want to short, maybe. Okay. Let's see what the lower time frames are. All bearish. So this could be a shorting opportunity. All right, definitely. So let's put WEC down for a possible short trade. What do you think of that one? See, not all the time we go long. When the market rolls over, we'll be talking about a lot of short trades. But this is one, if you're want to try to trade to the short side on this one, you could. I think you need to put your stop at the very top here because you haven't had a big retracement yet. So your stop should be at 98.99. All right, you can always give it a little bit more if you want, but make sure you calculate your trade size taking that into account. All right, so WEC BMY is our next one. Bristol Myers. Let's see what this one's doing here. Okay, so this one's pulling back too. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. Let's open up that weekly chart here. Boy, it hits this level and it backed right off. All right, kind of tough for an Elliott wave. Okay, if you had this as a 3, 4, 5, that's one thing, but this 3 was higher than this, so that kind of makes it not a 5. And we're heading down. We do have a yellow here, red here. I don't think I would do anything with this. It's not clear enough for me. Okay, BMY. All right, HRL. And this, I think, is Hormel Foods, right? HML. Oh, HRL. Okay, this one again coming down. We got red PTFs on the short-term time frame. Now, there's times when you can take, with our tools, a short-term trade when you have a PTF that gives you a great target. This has already been coming down a lot. And let's see what this kind of indicates. Big move. That's a wave 4 of some degree. Could be a wave 5 of some degree. You might have a 3, 4. Let's see if this is kind of interesting. This will be a good one. So let's see if we can find 1, 2, maybe here. So you had a 4, possible 4 here, 5. So maybe this could be in a downtrend now, or at least a major ABC correction. So that's kind of interesting. So this may have changed the trend. And the problem is that the trade probably should have been taking a little bit higher, but not bad. The scanners would have caught this one to the short side for sure. All right, so yeah, I think you got to use the long-term chart if you're going to go short on this, because this is a new move to the downside. So if that's the case, I would expect this to get into the mid-20s. But maybe wait for a rebound and then a move back to the downside. But don't go long, whatever you do, okay? I'm not going to put that on the watch list because at this particular time, it got a little too far away, okay? So that's it. All right, so those are those. All right, Al's back with XBI. Okay, so we're kind of going sideways, Al, on this one, as you can certainly see here. So let's take a look in the weekly chart and see if that can help us. All right, so we got a wave 3, a wave 4. Looks like we're climbing out to wave 5. And if we grab the fib retracements, I'm going to go back for a long term. So I hit that fine. So, okay, so long trade possibly here. It's kind of a little messy at the bottom. We haven't taken out the pyramids yet here. So the bearish pyramids are still dominant on this. So we got to kind of be careful about a long trade here. I wouldn't take it right now. We got to break out of this channel. Okay, we've got to break out of this high here. So until then, you could be stuck going sideways or even down a little further. So I think if you committed to this trade now, I think it's very possible you could be stuck in the noise, so to speak, and your money would be sitting there. I don't think he'd lose much, but I don't think he'd make any. And so you want to kind of hit it when the momentum is going a certain direction. In this case, I think it'll go up, but you want to not wait for a long, you could wait a year on this before this thing kicks in. So I don't think you want to do that. All right, and that is XBI. And if you're long now already, all right, just have your stop, under here at least. to give it enough room for this kind of back and forth motion of 72.43. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, William. Hi, William. All right, let's see. TOST, T-O-S-T. Let's take a look at TOST. God, you guys are really hitting some good ones here. All right, so TOST, not a lot of history on TOST. Very hard to do Elliott wave when you don't have much history. And then stocks, you know, going back to 2021 is not a lot of history. All right, so, but I can tell you what we're looking at is a bottom feeder, okay? So it came way down, all right, and now it's going sideways. It looks like we had a little bullishness coming in recently, all right? You can see that on the indicators and the pyramids, all right? Green, green, green. Yellow is okay. By the way, when you have a yellow PTF, that's not bad. It's neutral. So you can go long or short on that. So the question is, where is it going? You know, where's the target? PTF's not helping us on the target. It's just saying it's going to go above this pyramid. So this thing will get hit. The question is, where is it going to go? Let's see I think we'll try to figure out the best possible scenario on this. And I'm just going to draw fibs from here to here. So it's possible it could go to 35 to 50. Now, that's not a bad return. It's at 2073. Okay. Now, again, here's the tricky thing. This could go sideways as well. So this is one you could also get stuck in where it just bounces along. So there's the problem with that. But you are technically not being barred out of this trade based on the tools, because it's bullish on the daily and it is somewhat bullish on the 60. But again, the target is tough, because I think the target is 33 to 47. But the question is that it could oscillate back and forth before it gets there. All right. I'm not going to put it down as a buy. I'd like a little more history before I really commit to something like that. But that's that. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at FIGS. FIGS. Got a second to load. All right. Similar scenario. Okay. Almost exactly the same. All right. History goes back to what, 2001. We've got a bottom scenario. And again, not bad for a long trade, especially the 60-minute. We're seeing a little bearish divergence here. So we're kind of probably getting ready for it, you know, to oscillate back. And we got a bearish pyramid. So I wouldn't go long here. All right. If you went long here and you put your stop here, you'll make a little profit. But I don't think these, I would wait for the pullback and see what happens next. But again, you've got tremendous bullish divergence on the weekly chart. So I think this will pop eventually. But the problem is you don't want to get stuck in a sideways channel. So I would say look for this to break above actually 1020 before I get too excited about it. All right, because it's got to break out of this rotational channel here. So hopefully that helps you. All right, EYPT. EYPT. Let's see what's cooking on that one. All right, let's open up the weekly. We've got a green PTF and a lot more history on this one. Okay, so let's see what's cooking. Oh, all right. This is a great example. So do you see how you can get stuck in a sideways market? This is a great example. Let's say we were looking at this back here and you decided to go long in 2010. All right. Well, when it did go up. Let's see how high it went up there. So it went up. You could have gotten in here and it went to quite a bit. All right. Then settled back. So this is actually a fairly large range. So we really should make it like that. All right. It's deceiving sometimes because if you show a lot of history and you show a bottom channeling, you can have a lot of movement in that channel. And this is the case here. And that's where the pyramid would have helped you out here. So in this case here, if you'd gone in here, pulled back, then, you know, that was about a 20-point difference by the time you went back in the pyramid. So that could have been a possible scalp trade on the pyramid. Same thing here. let's see what we're getting here. Okay, on this, it's saying the scalp trade would be, you're probably going to get above 1041. So it's at 651. Not a bad return, right? Okay. But if you're looking for a big breakout on this, no, because it's got to break out of this sideways channel. And that means it's got to get above 50 before it's going to do anything big. But you can make money scalping inside this channel using the PTF. I love the PTF for that because it's really helpful. Let's see what the lower time, yeah, same thing here. So we're here at 650 and here's the PTF high there at 1041. So there's a 75% probability you're going above that. Now let's look at the 60. 60 has a little bit more clarity in the Elliott wave. So there's a 3-4 showing the Elliott wave 4 is not over yet. See the red PTF? All right, that's got to be yellow or green before wave 4 is over. So it's still pulling back. And that's showing it's going to make probably one more low, I think. Yeah, looks like one more low. So I would put this on a watch list. I'm going to put it on a watch list because it could be a possible good one, but not now, okay? Only because of the red PTF from the 60. This is a great example of how you use the tools, okay? LAZR. Okay, so here is, let's see, oh, we got quite, let's open this one up here. All right, so this is one way up and way down. All right, so what do we got cooking now? Well, we've got something possibly bottoming, but bullish divergence. So you're probably going to get some type of move at some point. We don't have really enough history. This is not a wave 4 because it made a new low. So the best you can hope for this, and it's not too bad, is roughly $21 to $31, and we're at 632. But you still got a red PTF, and if this bottom holds, okay, this will be a bottom. We'll probably could go up something like that. Okay, very possible. All right, let's see what the lower time frames. Okay, red PTF here. I cannot go long on this with the red PTF. So this is showing that we're still bouncing around, and it's actually showing that this is not a bottom here. Okay, so I would not do anything. Now, what's interesting is the 60-minute time frame shows we still got this much. We're going up a little higher because here's the PTF here. So we could probably get up to 750 to $8. And if this remains red, then you probably expect that's a fib retracement area. Probably expect it to come down. All right, so I'm not going to do anything with that. And that one was, which one was that? LAZR. Okay, so TELL. Let's take a look at TELL. All right, so penny stock, basically. All right, so let me just see, get some history on this. All right, so it goes back quite a ways, 1997, but look at that chart, messy. So this is kind of a scalper's chart only. Is it at a bottom? Hard to say, really difficult to get any type of Elliott wave off this. But I do have a PTF that's green, and that is interesting. So a red owl, though, and a red pyramid. So I'm not ready to go long on this, but if this bottoms and that PTF stays green, then there's a 75% probability we'll get above $6.54. So the lower it gets, the better it is if that stays green, because that means more profit because the price is going lower. The key, the tricky thing in using the PTF is where's your stop going to be? Because the PTF can be right, but you could be stopped out before it's right. So you got to be really careful on the timing of getting in on scalp trades like that. So in this case here, we got a red here, and I would hold off on this, okay? I am not saying it's not going to happen, but we're not bullish enough yet for me to want to get into this. But you could probably keep this on a watch list, but it is a penny stock too. So be aware of that. All right. All right. Thanks, Bill. All right. Mark, how are you? NET. Let's take a look at NET. Give that a second to load. All right, so we've looked at this one before. We got history back to about 2019, okay, roughly. All right, so this came way down. And if we're hoping for a retracement trade off this, then we're looking probably at 104 to 146, and we're at 60. That's not bad, okay? That's a good return. Couple things on this weekly chart. We do have a green PTF indicating that overall, if you want to hold it long enough, you probably get back above 220. So that's huge. And again, even if the market sell-off is coming, all right, if this is bottom, that means that it should buck the overall trend. All right, it's not a wave 3. It's an impulsive wave, but it's more of a, could be a wave 1, and this could be a wave 2 because there's not enough, this retraced way too much for a wave 4. So it's probably a wave 2. All right, a couple problems. One is we got a bearish pyramid here. So I kind of would like the prices to get above here, which is pretty high. All right, that's around 66.20. All right, we're at 59. So probably another 10 points up in order to eliminate that bearish pyramid statement there. And we may get it because it's moving up. All right, so that's one thing. The other problem here, okay, is we've got still a red PTF on the daily chart. Now, a couple things with that, because you see it made a new low recently. If this turns abruptly green, then that's a good sign. But I'm not going to go long until that red PTF is no longer red. If it makes another low and the momentum is not strong enough to keep it red, then it will turn yellow, and that's okay to look for a long trade at that point. This is bullish on the 60 minutes. So you could have taken a 60-minute trade. But, you know, you probably wouldn't have because it's, you know, you wouldn't have known it was going to come up that much, really. So the pyramids kind of did a great job. If you just follow the pyramids, you would have been great on that because your stop, you know, when we go in on a pyramid, I don't know if you know this, but our initial stop is usually here and then we trail them up. Okay, so your stop would be here. All right, so here's what I see on this one. Keep it on a watch list. Look for a long trade, but not until the PTF changes on the daily chart, okay? Now, if you're in it already, then you got to, I would say probably use the pyramids on the 60-minute and get out with a profit and then wait and see what happens if it makes another low. And then once it does, you can put it back on a watch list and watch it again. Or if the PTF changes, you can get back in. Okay. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. All right. So let me just go over the ones real quickly that we liked so far. So just to recap, because we looked at a lot of things today. So one was DKNG. So let me type that in. I can't remember exactly who. This might have been Al's. I can't remember whose these were. So this is one where we've got some movement left to the target. We're kind of close to the target. Okay, it's not my super favorite, simply because, you know, you may get a little bit of a pullback here. But okay, I think you'll, you know, if you go in here and put it at that pyramid on the weekly chart here, don't use the pyramids here, use them here. I think probably you'll survive a pullback because you've had the big move down threatening the bottom, but it didn't happen, it held. So I think you're going to get a moderate pullback only and then one more push into the target. All right, the next one was CDZI. All right, and this one too, very similarly, is reaching its way into the target area. So I thought that was okay. Put your stop at the pyramid down here, and you should be okay. ADSK. Let's see how that one looks for Autodesk here. All right, so this one here looks fairly good. The short-term time frames I liked. The long-term time frames were going against the pyramid. So if I decide to take a trade based on the shorter time frames, but the longer term is not quite rolled over yet, I may cut my trade size in half, technically going against the pyramid here and a red owl. So, okay, that's, but you know, when you go in early, a lot of times you go against the longer term chart. So that's just the way it is. However, okay, notice that and cut the trade size down because it's not as sure a thing as it would be as if the long-term chart was in your favor. All right, and then we looked at WEC for a short trade, right? All right, the PTF is indicating more, and so is the possibility of a further target down here at 74 to 53. So that's a short trade, and that's it. Okay, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4 this week. Okay, and 3 to the long and 1 to the short, and then we had I think PT and TELL were our targets. Okay, that was EYPT. Yes. Okay, so that's that. All right, great. All right, let me do this. I think that's okay. So that's going to be it for this week. So we did pretty good here, and again, I think we're going to see some more bullishness carry through. Let's just quickly take a look at the day trading timeframes. Now, you know, we run a day trading room and we use the same tools, but we change the timeframes on the charts. Now, we trade the futures markets. We do not day trade stocks, but we do day trade the futures markets. This happens to be the MNQ contract, which is the micro NQ, which is the NASDAQ, and it's the June 2023 contract. And notice it's loaded on all 3 time frames, just like we did for the stocks. We basically do the same thing. All right. So this is kind of messy, pulled down a little bit. Doesn't really do much for me. A lot of times when we day trade, we have to wait until the right setup comes along. It takes a lot of patience. Again, the 60-minute looks like it could be coming down for another wave down, but red PTF is a good sign for a short trade. I would not go long here. Okay, if anything, possibly a short trade. The short trade's looking okay here, but I have to wait for this to go red. All right, then I would probably initiate a short trade. We already got a pyramid trading point entry here, so I would have been short already here. But if I'm just showing up now, I want this to go red before I consider that. Okay, let's take a look at the E-mini or micro E-mini Dow futures. You're going to find them all same, but you see they're all red PTFs on a majority of the time frame. So looks like we're going to head down. Let's see, the market's down about 117. So looks like we're going to see some more pressure to the downside. All right, let's go to gold. All right. All right, gold's a little different story. Gold's a bullish trade, okay, and still is. So we got green PTFs. We got a nice pullback here. Red pyramid here. So and a red here. So if you're long on this trade already, notice you would have gotten in down in here, okay? When the PTF turned, we had green, green, and a pyramid, and you would have gotten out here. So you would have made a quick little scalping profit, but you don't want to go long now yet. You are going to want to go long soon because this is green, but we're still pulling back. We got a pyramid here. So I would say this, we got to wait for this to turn green and take out this pyramid here before we could consider a long position. I would not go short here. All right, MCL. All right, MCL is looking pretty good in terms of it possibly bottoming here. Green, we got red over here. We took out the red pyramid here. So this is possibly a decent trade to the upside. At the very least, you got a pretty strong owl to the downside. I'm thinking maybe you'll get to 72-ish, maybe 72.5, but 72.17. Problem with this is still pretty steep, so you want to knock your trade size down a half because you're going against a long-term chart. This is okay. This needs to be green, and then possibly a long trade on MCL to the target, and that's about it. So nothing really super outstanding, but again, this is day trading. The key to day trading is waiting for the right setup. All right, you don't want to be just taking trades like on the position charts of just anything. You have to be patient. All right, so that's it for today, guys and gals. Thanks for being here. Okay, we'll see you back here next week. Have a good week, and thanks for attending today. All right, so I'll put a little music on. I'll just leave it on this chart for a few minutes before I basically end the session, and you guys have a good one.